Have you ever seen a 90-year-old walking faster than someone in their 40 seconds? I have. And what I saw that day in a tiny Japanese village completely changed how I think about aging, because the elders there weren't just living long, they were moving like time had forgotten them. If you're over 50, what I'm about to share could add strength, balance, mobility, and maybe even years to your life. Mobility is often overlooked as people age, yet it is one of the most powerful indicators of how youthful the body truly is. When someone is over 50, the body naturally begins to stiffen, not because it is old, but because it is used less. Muscles tighten, joints lose lubrication, and everyday tasks that were once effortless begin to feel heavier and slower. What Japanese elders have shown the world is that mobility is not something you lose with age. It's something you lose with inactivity. Their daily practice of simple, gentle movements keeps their body flexible, their joints nourished, and their muscles engaged in a way that prevents the stiffness most people assume is unavoidable after 50. Mobility is the foundation of comfort. When your spine can bend and twist without resistance, when your hips can rotate freely, when your shoulders can move without pain, your entire life feels lighter. Even walking, sitting, getting up from a chair, or reaching for something overhead becomes smooth and natural instead of a struggle. In Japan, elders treat mobility like a daily hygiene habit. Just as you brush your teeth to keep them healthy, they brush their joints with movement. This keeps their tissues hydrated and prevents the slow, silent decline that happens when joints stay still for too long. Science supports this deeply. Gentle daily movement increases synovial fluid, the body's natural joint lubricant, reducing friction and helping cartilage stay healthy. Muscles stay active, which improves stability, posture, and circulation. This mobility creates a positive ripple effect. When joints hurt less, people walk more. When they walk more, they stay stronger. When they stay stronger, they remain independent longer. It's a cycle of youthfulness created not by intense workouts, but by intentional daily motion. What makes mobility even more powerful is how little effort it truly requires. Most Japanese elders aren't going to gyms or lifting heavy weights. They simply perform small rituals, spine waves, hip circles, gentle stretches that wake up the body and keep it alive from the inside. These movements maintain elasticity in the connective tissues, which are the first to stiffen with age. By keeping the joints active each day, they slow down the aging process dramatically, allowing them to bend, sit, walk, garden, and even play with grandchildren well into their 80s and 90s. The beautiful part is that anyone over 50 can start today, no matter how stiff they feel. The body responds quickly to movement, muscles regain warmth, joints regain fluidity, and the nervous system relearns patterns of smooth coordination. Even 5 minutes can change how the body feels for the rest of the day. A simple example illustrates this perfectly. There was a woman named Mariko, 76 years old, living in a small town in Japan. Every morning, before breakfast, she would spend just 6 or 7 minutes gently rotating her hips, rolling her spine, and stretching her arms toward the sky. One day, a much younger visitor asked her why she took this routine so seriously. She laughed softly and said, "Because without this, my body becomes older before I do." She explained that a few years earlier, she had stopped doing her morning routine for several months due to family responsibilities. Within weeks, she felt her lower back tighten, her knees become heavy, and her shoulders ache. When she resumed her daily mobility ritual, the stiffness faded, and she felt light again, almost as if she had turned back time. Her story shows a powerful truth. Mobility is not about age, it's about maintenance. When you move daily, your body remains capable, comfortable, and youthful. Mobility truly is the real fountain of youth, not hidden, not expensive, but found in simple, intentional movement practiced every single day. Small daily movements may seem insignificant, but for people over 50, they are one of the most powerful tools for preserving joint health. As the body ages, joints naturally begin to lose their lubrication, cartilage becomes thinner, and muscles that support the joints become weaker if they are not used regularly. This leads to stiffness, aches, reduced range of motion, and eventually a loss of independence in everyday tasks. But the encouraging truth is that gentle, consistent movements can slow down, and in many cases reverse, much of this decline. The body responds beautifully to motion, no matter how old it is. and these tiny movements act like nourishment for joints that would otherwise dry out and stiffen. When you move a joint softly and intentionally, you stimulate the production of synovial fluid, a natural gel-like lubricant that reduces friction between bones. Without this fluid, joints grind painfully and cannot glide smoothly. People often believe that they need heavy workouts or intense exercises to stay healthy, but Japanese elders prove the opposite. They perform small, uncomplicated routines like slow circles, light twists, or gentle stretches that awaken the stabilizing muscles around each joint. These stabilizers act like protective guards, preventing unnecessary pressure on the knees, hips, shoulders, and spine. When these small muscles stay active, the bigger muscles and joints don't have to compensate, which dramatically reduces pain. Another powerful benefit of small daily movements is the prevention of inflammatory stiffness, the kind of discomfort many people feel first thing in the morning. These movements increase blood flow, warm up connective tissues, and signal the brain that the body is ready for activity. Over time, this keeps joints functioning smoothly and helps prevent the common issues experienced after 50, like knee weakness, hip tightness, back tension, frozen shoulder, and reduced flexibility. The beauty of these movements is that they are gentle enough for anyone to start, even people with chronic pain or limited mobility, yet effective enough to create long-term improvement. These small movements also enhance balance and coordination. As joints become more lubricated and muscles become more engaged, the body starts responding quicker and more accurately to shifts in weight and direction. This reduces the likelihood of falls, which are one of the biggest threats to health and independence in older adults. What seems like a simple circle of the ankles or a slow shoulder roll is actually strengthening neural pathways that keep the body safe and stable. A real-life example captures this perfectly. There was a man named Takumi, a 68-year-old retired schoolteacher in Osaka. He had developed chronic knee pain from years of standing and walking in his profession. After retirement, he became less active, and his knees worsened to the point where climbing stairs felt like a burden. Instead of going for strenuous workouts, his doctor encouraged him to practice gentle daily movements, slow knee bends, ankle rotations, and hip circles for just 5 to 7 minutes a day. At first, Takumi felt too stiff to continue, but within 2 weeks, he noticed that his knees felt looser in the morning. After a month, he could walk longer distances without discomfort. 6 weeks later, he surprised himself by climbing a long flight of shrine steps without stopping. He often says, "It wasn't the big effort that changed me, it was the small effort I repeated." His story shows how powerful tiny, consistent movements can be. They restore life to joints, reduce pain, and bring back the comfort and freedom that many people fear they've lost forever. With gentle daily motion, the joints stay alive, protected, and ready to support a vibrant, active life, even after 50. Balance training becomes one of the most essential habits for anyone over 50 because at this stage in life, the body begins to lose some of the stabilizing strength and reflex speed that once came naturally. This decline is subtle at first, maybe a slight wobble while reaching for something, a moment of hesitation when stepping off a curb, or a feeling of unsteadiness when getting dressed on one leg. But over time, if balance is not actively trained, these small signs grow into bigger problems. Falls become more likely, and falls in older adults are not minor events. They are one of the biggest causes of injury, hospitalization, and even long-term loss of independence. The powerful truth is that balance, just like strength or flexibility, can be trained. And Japanese elders show how daily moments of simple balance practice can protect the body more effectively than many people realize. The reason balance declines with age is multi-layered. Muscles in the feet and legs weaken if not used often, sensory nerves become slower, and the vestibular system inside the inner ear becomes less responsive. But even as these natural changes occur, the brain and body remain remarkably adaptable. When someone practices balance regularly, even for just 30 seconds a day, the neural pathways controlling stability become sharper, the small stabilizer muscles around the ankles, knees, and hips grow stronger, and the body learns to react more quickly to prevent a fall. This is why balance exercises are such a core part of Japanese daily routines, especially among elders. They integrate simple practices like standing on one foot, walking slowly in a straight line, or shifting weight from side to side with mindful control. These movements are not strenuous, but they awaken the parts of the body most responsible for stability. One of the most practical advantages of balance training is its impact on everyday life. Walking becomes steadier, climbing stairs feels more secure, and household tasks, like bending, reaching, or carrying things, become safer. When the body has good balance, it automatically corrects itself when the ground is uneven, slippery, or unexpected. This reduces the fear that many older adults silently carry, the fear of falling, of injuring themselves, or of losing independence. Balance training gives people confidence in their movements and the comfort of knowing their body can support them when needed. Physically, these exercises strengthen the ankle joints, which are often overlooked but critical for stability. They also engage the hips, the body's natural stabilizers, and wake up the core muscles that protect the spine. Mentally, balance training increases awareness and coordination, teaching the mind and body to communicate faster and more efficiently. Over time, this leads to smoother movement and better control, even during quick or unexpected actions. A perfect example of the power of balance training comes from a woman named Keiko, a 72-year-old grandmother living in Nagano. After a minor slip in her kitchen, she realized that her balance was not as strong as it used to be. She hadn't fallen, but the moment scared her. Instead of waiting for things to get worse, she began practicing the simple stork pose she had seen other elders doing, standing on one leg with her eyes focused on a fixed point. At first, she could barely hold the position for 5 seconds without wobbling, but she practiced daily, just once in the morning and once at night. After a few weeks, she could hold the pose for 20 seconds. Within 2 months, she was confidently balancing for over a minute on each leg. More importantly, something remarkable happened. Her fear disappeared. She walked more freely, climbed stairs without grabbing the railing, and even started hiking small local trails again. She often said, "I didn't recover my balance. I recovered my courage." Her experience captures the true power of balance training. It protects the body, strengthens the stabilizer muscles, sharpens reflexes, and makes everyday life safer and more confident. With consistent practice, even small movements can create a body that feels stable, strong, and secure well into the later decades of life. Movement plays one of the most powerful roles in longevity and independence, especially for people over 50. As the body ages, it naturally begins to lose muscle mass, balance, stability, and flexibility. Not because something is wrong, but because the body adapts to what it does most. If someone sits for long hours, their muscles learn to shorten and weaken. If they stop bending, twisting, or lifting, their joints start to stiffen. Japanese elders have shown the world a simple truth: the more you move, the more your body stays capable. Their daily rituals, often lasting only a few minutes, help them preserve the body's natural design, a design made for motion, not stillness. Longevity is not just about living many years, it's about living those years with vitality. Regular movement boosts circulation, bringing oxygen-rich blood to every organ, including the brain. This keeps the mind sharp and reduces the risk of fatigue or mental fog that many people experience as they age. Gentle movements, such as stretching or bending, help digestion by stimulating the abdominal organs and improving intestinal motility. Even tiny routines like wrist rotations or ankle circles can enhance circulation to the extremities, reducing swelling and discomfort. These small habits compound over time, creating a body that functions smoothly, from joints to organs. Another key part of longevity is maintaining strength, not the kind you build in a gym with heavy weights, but the functional strength that helps you get up from a chair, carry groceries, or climb stairs. The daily movements Japanese elders do activate the core, hips, legs, and shoulders in subtle but effective ways. These muscles are the foundation of independence. When they stay active, the body remains steady, coordinated, and strong enough to handle everyday tasks without strain or assistance. This is why many Japanese elders stay independent well into their 80s and 90s, often performing their own household chores, gardening, walking to local shops, and participating in community activities. Movement also supports posture, which is deeply connected to long-term health. Poor posture compresses the lungs, strains the back, and reduces energy levels. Gentle daily movements realign the spine, open the chest, and keep the back muscles engaged, allowing the body to stand tall and breathe fully. This contributes to longevity by improving oxygen intake and reducing chronic pain. When the posture is strong, the entire body feels lighter and more capable. One of the most underestimated benefits of daily movement is emotional well-being. Staying active gives people a sense of control over their bodies, reduces stress, and releases endorphins that elevate mood. Many Japanese elders treat movement as a meditative ritual, a moment to connect with themselves and greet the day with intention. This positive mental state has a direct effect on physical health, supporting healthy aging from the inside out. A wonderful example of this comes from an 82-year-old man named Sato from Shizuoka. He lived alone after his wife passed away, and had the choice many older adults face: slow down, withdraw, and allow age to take over, or stay active and maintain his independence. Every morning, Sato would go outside, stretch his arms toward the sky, rotate his hips, twist his spine gently, and walk a small loop around his neighborhood. It wasn't a workout, it was a ritual. A few minutes of motion that reminded his body how to function well. His neighbors often saw him bending to pick up something from the ground, pruning plants, or carrying groceries home without strain. One winter, a younger neighbor slipped on icy ground and was surprised to see Sato reach out and catch him with remarkable stability. Laughing, Sato said, "I move every day so that my legs remember what to do." His simple routine kept his muscles alive, his reflexes sharp, and his independence intact. Even at 82, he cooked, cleaned, shopped, and gardened entirely on his own, not because he avoided age, but because he respected his body enough to keep it moving. His story illustrates a powerful truth. Movement is not just exercise. It is a form of self-preservation. It keeps the body functional, the mind sharp, and the spirit lifted. Through daily movement, longevity becomes meaningful, and independence becomes possible, allowing people to live not just long lives, but fulfilling ones. Consistency matters more than intensity because the body responds far better to repetition than to rare bursts of effort. For people over 50, this principle becomes even more important. As we age, the muscles, joints, and connective tissues become less forgiving. They don't need extreme workouts, they need regular reminders of how to move. When you practice small, gentle movements every day, you build a foundation of strength, flexibility, and mobility that stays with you. But when you push yourself through a hard workout once in a while and stay sedentary the rest of the week, the body becomes confused, overstressed, and more prone to injury. Consistency teaches the body safety. It tells the joints, stay lubricated. It tells the muscles, stay awake. It tells the nervous system, stay coordinated. This slow, steady conditioning is what keeps Japanese elders moving with such grace and ease, not intensity, but routine. Daily movement also prevents the stiffness that sneaks up on people as they age. When a joint is unused, it dries out, becomes less mobile, and starts to ache. Many people assume this is simply the result of getting older, but it is more often the result of lack of daily motion. By repeating small routines, hip circles, gentle twists, balance stands, shoulder rotations, you send blood flow into the tissues and encourage the body to maintain flexibility. Over time, these gentle practices create a kind of movement memory. The body begins to feel younger, lighter, and more capable simply because it never stops being reminded how to move. Consistency is also kinder to the body's recovery system. After 50, the muscles take longer to heal, and the connective tissues are more sensitive. This is why intense, irregular exercise can leave a person feeling exhausted or sore for days. In contrast, gentle daily movement builds strength without overwhelming the body. The improvements come quietly, the morning stiffness fades, bending becomes easier, walking feels smoother, and posture improves almost without effort. These changes accumulate like compound interest. 10 minutes a day might not impress anyone in the moment, but a year of those minutes can completely transform how someone feels. Another powerful benefit of consistency is its impact on mental and emotional health. When you show up every day, even for a short time, you build discipline and confidence. You create a relationship with your body that says, "I care about you." This sense of trust encourages motivation and reduces the fear many people develop about movement as they age. Instead of worrying about injury or pain, the body becomes a partner, strong, responsive, and dependable. This psychological shift alone can add years of vitality. A simple example brings this idea to life. There was a man named Tatsu, 63 years old, who had always believed that exercise meant hard training. He tried to start running multiple times, each time pushing too hard, injuring himself, and giving up for weeks. His knees hurt, his back tightened, and he began to fear physical activity altogether. One day, a neighbor much older than him, An 84-year-old grandfather, who seemed surprisingly energetic, shared his secret. "I never train hard," the older man said. "I just train every day." He showed Tatsu a short routine of gentle movements, arm circles, knee lifts, slow ankle rotations, hip sways, and a brief balance stand. The entire practice took less than 12 minutes. Tatsu began doing it each morning. At first, it felt too easy, almost pointless. But after a few weeks, something surprising happened. His knees stopped aching, his posture felt lighter, and he could walk longer without discomfort. After 2 months, he noticed he could bend down without holding onto something. For the first time in years, he felt confident in his body. When he later returned to jogging, he found he could run comfortably, not because he trained intensely, but because he trained consistently. His story shows how repetition transforms the body more effectively than force. It's not the power of the movement, but the habit of moving, that keeps the body youthful. Consistency builds a quiet strength that lasts, proving that small daily actions are the greatest investment anyone over 50 can make in their long-term vitality. As the sun climbed higher, I watched Hiroshi and the others finish their morning routine. No fancy equipment, no loud music, just slow, intentional movement.